Welcome everybody to the Social Dig, the greatest underrated show on the World Wide Web. I am your host, Mr. Rob G, and as always, we're going to be digging into the topics to keep you talking and the talk that keeps you thinking. So come on in, kick your feet up, get an ice cold beverage, get ready to join the conversation right here on the Social Dig late night calling show, which we do every weekend right after the after hour show. Saturdays for now, we may extend to Sundays as we see how the participation goes. But definitely thank everybody for being here today, tonight, this morning, wherever you're at in the world, as we go ahead and get ready to jump into some good stuff. Just left the After Hours radio show where we had a great time, had a ball, great conversation, and we're going to continue it here. You guys know you guys can at any time call tonight. This is for you. This is for you. This is your show. And the call-in line is 856-843-3444, but that's 856-THE-DIGG. If you're outside the United States, that's 001-856-843-3444, or that's 001-856-THE-DIGG. We are going to have an awesome time. I definitely want to go ahead and welcome everybody that came on in here tonight. We appreciate each and every last one of you. Let me go ahead and welcome everyone who has come so far. Moving back, we got Polly Rotterman. Thanks for coming in. Dead Fish Cheese Spread. Hey, Fast Hemi. Thanks for coming on in. Appreciate you. Jessica S. Jessica S is here. Thanks for coming on in. Latchkey Hustle. The man with the plan. Thanks for coming on in. Appreciate you as well. Showing up tonight. We have Stargazer. Stargazer in the building. Thanks for coming. Paramarv. Hey, Paramarv. Cosmic Joe. Chronicles. Appreciate you coming on in, sir. As always. Let's see, getting down the list. Woo Riders DG, thanks for coming on in. Thanks for showing on up. Let's see, who else do we have? We have Race Fan. Race Fan is definitely here. Thanks for showing up to the Social Dig, that late night calling show with me, your host, Mr. Rob G. Who else do we have? We have JMJ12, JMJ12. Cheers, it's a chat full of mods. Yeah, I mean, these are family members. They've been here for a long time. The mods went out a long time ago. Hopefully, I can get you to stay here as well so I can give you a mod, give you a wrench. That'd be awesome. Thanks for coming on in, JM. We appreciate your support here tonight. Also, who else do we have? We have JSCO77. I see you. Thanks for coming on in. Love you, love. Thanks for coming on in tonight. Appreciate you showing on up. Let's see. Also, we are moving down the list. I think we got everybody. Richard Minnick. Richard Minnick's here. Thanks for coming on in. Did I say Flat Six? If not, Flat Six is also here. T-Bone is here. T-Bone, thanks for coming on in. Let's see. Hillbilly Herb. Joey Glowy, thanks for coming on in. Wes H, thanks for showing on up. As we go ahead and get ready to start this show here, we are almost to the bottom of the list here. Almost there. I think that's everybody. Wait a minute. Super Crazy Movie Geek, thanks for coming on in. Appreciate showing on up. Grant Tavius Maximus, thanks for coming on in. Appreciate you, Grant. Appreciate you, sir. That's a brother right there. And he may be in Las Vegas, so you guys might want to come on out and hang out with the crew in Las Vegas. Nelson R, thanks for coming on in, Nelson. Appreciate you showing on up tonight. Okay, yeah, we're looking good. We are current. Definitely want to go ahead and, like I said, thank everyone for coming on in here. Did I say Stargazer? I just feel like I didn't. Stargazer, thanks for coming on in. Appreciate you. Don't want to miss anybody. As we go ahead and take a look at the members, we have, you could be a social soldier today by clicking the link in the description. You can hit join, become a social soldier. So far, we have Ann Joanne, the Beekeeper, D. Nunley, Maggie M10, Deb from SAC, Ramento, Flat Six, Miss Catherine Jones, Cosmic Joe Chronicles, W. Decker, Wes Decker, T-Bone. We also have Still Poo 69. And then I saw Blue Cruz is actually a member now as well. So it's definitely all appreciated, as this was from the other show the other night. But is going to tie into what we're going to talk about tonight. If you guys want to go ahead and do that. We want to thank T-Bone for gifting 5 subs to some of you new people out there. That is awesome, T-Bone. I really do appreciate you. You, man. I can't even tell you. You will get your just due from me, and you can bet that for sure. Thanks for being a loyal member, man. I just appreciate it. Yeah, and let me see what else. What else can I show you here? What else do we have? I think I have a couple other things to bring up here. We have the shows that we have here. So right now you are at the late night calling show with the Saturdays 11:30 p.m. Pacific. We have just yesterday my experience with the phenomena with Science Bob Lala Bright. If you missed that, definitely go check that out. That was at 5 p.m. Pacific every Friday. Then we have the Social Dig Wednesdays at 5 p.m. and also the news show, uh, which is a UFO news show. I felt like you found you needed one, and we debuted that as well on Thursdays. The definitive UFO news show with Mr. Rob G. So if you're here for the first time, we'd appreciate you hitting that subscribe button and hitting the notification bell. Just coming around. We always have awesome conversations. Sometimes they're tough conversations. Not everybody likes to have tough conversations, but that's what we do here at the Social Dig on behalf of humanity, and that's just the way it is and the way it's going to be. As we go ahead and get ready to jump on into the show, yes, the late night calling show, like I said, the floor is yours, really. The hot topic is drones, obviously. Are there people out there that have some sort of feeling that they want to get out, get off the chest? I know it's probably affecting a lot of people out there who maybe have the voice to talk within their home or within their friend group, but you want to say it to the world, right? Come on stage and just say it. Come on stage, let everybody know how you feel, and we want to make sure that your voice is also heard, because there's people out there in New Jersey and all of the other places where these things are showing up who can't get answers, who would love to hear that there are people that are caring out there about the situation that they're confronted with and are going through. Because like I said, they show up here in the city that I'm in. I'm in California, Bakersfield, California. If they show up here, I don't know that I could sleep. I probably wouldn't sleep. I'd probably be up all night filming drones. I probably would. And therefore I would be facing sleep deprivation, along with just this fear and of the unknown. And that's why I just said that's why we did the news show the other day, because I just feel for those people who have to go to sleep every single night worrying about what these things are, where they're from, who is controlling them, what is controlling them, right? At the end of the day. So I definitely want to make sure we go ahead and get this party started, get this conversation going. And we already have a person in the back, and anyone can join. It doesn't matter. You guys are out there. The link is at the top of the chat. The phone number is also up there. Once again, the phone number, if you are not in the United States, you're calling in, it's 001, then that number that I listed, or you can click the link and come up on stage, because the stage, I think, holds up to 10 people, somewhere in that realm. So we could all get up here and have the discussion. Right now, I'm going to bring the person that's in the back right now, who is Cosmic Joe Chronicles. Hey, Joe, how you doing?
Pretty good, Rob. How's it going with you?
I'm feeling good. I'm feeling really good. In a moment like this where people need answers, and this is like what we this is what this is all about. Like, us getting together doing this is the outcome of this, is the thing that naturally is going to help in this situation. So it's like it's the perfect time for us here in what we do to kind of try to help, because guess what? A lot of those national media outlets aren't getting down to the answers. News Nation is, thank God there's at least News Nation out there, and reporters like Ross Coulthard and others that are really trying to poke the bear and get answers. And but we're doing what we can on this level, and I just enjoy having you guys here. Did you have any perspective on this or anything? I know you've heard the other shows we've done. I know you've been watching the news. and you have probably your own opinion on what you think about the current situation. What how do you feel about it? What do you think?
Well, I think that these drones had always been there. They're they've been masked. They're um they're using technology to make themselves invisible. I already told everyone on my video I did about the technology they use that make everything invisible. So I think these drones always been there, but now they're making themselves known for some reason. Maybe because they want the disclosure to happen sometime this year. Hopefully, that's the case. You know.
I like that. I like that, Cosmic Joe. That whole angle of maybe the things we're seeing, if they end up being extraterrestrial, which we're not going to say 100%, we feel like they are, based on a lot of things we talked about. And if they are, yes, I could agree with you that potentially is something that was always there, because if everybody knows my UFO sighting, and I'm sure, and I'm going to show it at some point again. I know everybody's seen it, but now in this moment, I think it's very important because we have the eyes of the world trying to figure out what this is, and they are looking to shows like these to kind of get answers. I think it's the perfect time to kind of bring in that UFO sighting and kind of amaze people, because if they really, they're seeing these things, but if they see the other things that people have caught, which this is the perfect time to show the world, then they're gonna, even if they thought these were regular drones, they would see the other data that we have, and I'm sure be blown away. Like, okay, wow, I didn't know all that was going on, and I think that's what we have. But to kind of circle back to your point about the drones maybe being stealth and maybe being cloaked in this time, I think that could be a real thing. Like, they're always there, and for whatever reason right now they're showing themselves. What do you think about them coming off of the water? What do you think that's all about?
Well, they may be submersible. They can go underwater or anything like that. Probably had to have a bubble around them or some type of force field was is probably extraterrestrial in origin to me. I like drones. I bought one I haven't used yet. This is good for exploring my backyard, because I got some type of creature that tore down my screen house, and I cannot go back there far enough to see what happened to my screen house. So that's why I got this drone. Of course, I flew my drones around and one of their shows too.
Oh
So
yeah.
yeah.
And that, you're making a good point. There's a lot of regular drones out there, and when I walked in the studio today, I saw what I feel like was just a regular drone actually in the parking lot next to where I was at. It had the red and green light on it, just like we're seeing on TV, and it was doing the zip. It lifted up really fast, it went back down, came back up, and then shot off across the sky, then came back to where it was. But when I looked at where it was, I heard a lady scream, I heard a girl scream for whatever reason. I don't know if it was related to that or something else, but
Yeah.
it caught my attention, and I looked over there and saw a police officer. And actually, between these shows, right before we started this show, I went back out there real quick, and the people. There's an event or something going on over there, so there were still people over there. Police car was still over there, so I'm like, yeah, somebody just put up a drone. So, and that was the thing I was talking about, because the further we get away from the first day that that the news broke about all this, then you have more and more opportunity for people with regular drones to just put them up in the sky, right? So now we don't. Now it's like, okay, I see your drone now, Cosmic Joe, and because I see your drone and your drone is a regular drone, now I'm telling everybody else, see, Cosmic Joe is flying his drone, so that means all the other drones are regular drones too, right? I think we're getting to that part of the conversation.
Yeah. Do you like my shirt?
I love, what is it? Space Traveler Squatching Camp, Milky Way Galaxy. Yeah, love it, love it. Don't show Dave that shirt.
You don't like the term
Yeah,
squash.
no, 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 no. They don't like.
I know. I know.
Ah, that's funny though. Where'd you get it at?
I made it on there's a site you can make your own
Oh,
shirt.
okay.
Yeah, you just put your own meshes on it.
I
So
thought about doing that.
that's why I got that one, the Cosmic Truth Zone. But I wore the last. I like these drones. This one is not really. Um, it lights up, but it's don't. Well, it don't fly too well.
Oh, I see that. I see that.
It don't fly too well.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. I would get one of those. I
It's
like
not.
toys as well.
That's not the best kind. I like these ones better.
Yeah, they
Um,
fly by themselves. They kind of are self-aware. They bump off of things, right?
yeah, I got two of these trains. I'll set one loose here. Yeah, come on.
Ah, there it is. That's where the magic happens. Because we have someone also in the back joining us here, none other than the Grant Man, Grantavius Max, in the building. Let me go ahead and move this banner out the way.
Hello, Grant.
Grantavius Max, the Max Man. How you doing? Grant can't hear. Joe Monk. I wish Rob looked at the chat. What happened? Did I miss something in the chat? No, yeah, I see this here. I was going to bring this up, Joe Monk. How about if they put out an emergency declaration for all legal drone owners to stop flying their GD drones for a week? They're right at that point. They were mentioning that on the last newscast that I saw, and they're definitely about to do that for the very reason so that they could say, okay, if they're still flying drones and it's a regular person, then they're breaking the law. And they figure that if they put that declaration in place, you'll have a lot of people, if these are regular people doing this, that they'll stop. So yeah, they're doing that, Joe Monk, for sure. Grant Man, Grant Tavius Max, how you doing, sir?
Good. How you guys been, man?
Man, we're doing all right. The drone stuff, man. What's going on, Grant? Tell me about what's happening, man. What is this?
You know, it's really fun to watch everything that we're all seeing. I mean, we're all watching the news. Everybody's streaming it. You get people over on the East Coast that are getting it. You have pilots and people over here, even where I live, all the way up to Washington, Seattle area, all the way down to Central Point, which is only a stone's throw away from where I live. You know, and I stand out here on the porch and I look around. I don't see anything yet, unfortunately, but I've heard things. Let's say people don't know who it is. The government doesn't know who it is. The Senate is, doing multiple hearings and trying to figure out what these are. They're running on frequencies that we can't, figure out what frequencies they're running on. Either they're higher or lower, or just on a whole different type of antenna system that we don't know about. I've even heard that the government is looking for a nuclear. like a suitcase-sized nuclear bomb that's somewhere over there, and on the East Coast, and that these drones are actually us that have the ability to look for these type of weapons. And somehow one had gotten past, instead of sending a missile over or anything else, this was actually done by land. I've heard everything under the sun, so I am just as interested to find out what this is. And I watch and I go outside and I look because I'd like to see these things myself. If I can't see it, I want to wait until I do before I speak a little bit more clearly on it. So
Yeah, they're in Oregon. I mean, there's reports that they definitely are there somewhere in Oregon. But yeah, the whole nuke thing, that was something that I was checking out a broadcast earlier, and the newscaster said that one of the many things that people are coming up with is that the Russian gangsters working on behalf of the Russian government are just here flying drones, and just a lot of things that the newscaster said he looked into, and his White House press guy said he looked into it, and there's nothing to those stories. And I'm glad to know that, or to hear that, because yeah, I mean, more than just an adversary having a drone here, them looking for some loose nuclear weapon would be horrible and horrific. And I don't think anybody could go back to your normal life if that was the case, right?
well, I mean, you got to look at it this way. If one was in your backyard and you just happen to find out about it, I mean, it would be mass exodus. People would be leaving as far away from wherever that would be. And it would be scary. A lot of us have kids and families, and it's one of those deals where if something like that was to happen, of course, I would understand that the military would try to keep that as close to the chest as they could, for reasons that is, people can get hurt when they're trying to leave something as devastating as a nuclear weapon. You're going to have car accidents, and people are going to be in a frantic, and that's just something we don't want. There's no real way for us to evacuate an area efficiently yet, especially something as congested as a lot of the cities on the East Coast. So I don't see it being that. I mean, if it is, at least they're trying their hardest to find it. It's one of those deals where all these drones could be a cover up for something. I've stated this before, where look at me, look at me. So look at the drones that are going on, and all the everything is going on the media, and especially with social media and people filming these with their cameras and their iPhones and whatnot. And it's look at this, but what's really going on? What's more important is going on that is now being not in the limelight, but being operated and done basically in the open, but nobody's paying attention to it. And so those are the things that I start looking at and being like, okay, what's really going on here? Some of the images that I watch and see, one of them looked like an advanced TIE fighter. I thought that was pretty neat. Unfortunately, that was a guy that was really good at manipulating video. He was a video editor. And I'll tell you, that was my favorite, though. I was like, oh, man, if they look like that, I'm on board. Let's do this.
Star Wars.
Dude, they have, and that's where I was saying it was like at this point, because it's so far away from the original moment, that there's now time for people to have these bright ideas, and what they're doing is now everybody's putting drones up, and then you have people editing video, like they put out the whole rumor of the one of these things crashing and had the fake video to go with it. And that's what we're getting, and that's along with the nuke stories and all that. That's where all this stuff is coming from, because people have time to sit around and think up things that don't make sense. But you have I saw a video of they edited these drones shooting laser beams down at the city, and they have that going around now. You know what I mean? And it's like, that's why we have to more so than before. I mean, the whole time you got to vet, but now you really got to vet the information that you're getting at this point, because it's a lot of just people with nothing to do sitting around making stuff up now at this point, right? And kind of getting us away from what we should really be focusing on.
And you know what better cover up than 100,000 people flying their own drones in the air? I mean, yes, some of these are very large, and I had listened to a gentleman speak on this recently within the last week, a very long interview. Uh, some of these are the size of cars. So if you know anything about drones, like the one that was just put up by Cosmic Joe, they can be very inexpensive. But once you start growing the size of these things, the price of those gets exorbitant. I mean, they get out there where you're spending $100,000 on a drone easily, especially
Yeah.
something that can stay aloft as long as these things are seemingly capable of doing. You know, I go back to the ones that are hovering over ships out in the Pacific or the Atlantic, and they're there for hours. Those are the ones that I'm looking at. Like, okay, what technology is keeping these in the air for that long? And we don't have any good video of it where we can, you know, you might catch one of the guys on one of the ships that has his iPhone out and says, "Oh, look," and you can't hear anything. But I want to know exactly what's going on here. And I don't think that all these drones that are going on in New Jersey are alien specific. Maybe one or two of them could be, but now they're being drowned in a pool of smoke with everybody else flying their drones and getting away with it. But you also got to look at it like this: when there's ones that are going around like military bases, military ships, um, we have the capability of zeroing in on where the transceiver is, where who is piloting this or who's holding the remote for this. We can actually see, okay, look, this is where the signal's coming from. With the big ones, we're not able to do that. The military is like, holy moly, man, why can't we figure out where these are from? And then you get those cool videos of them splashing in the ocean or coming out of it. And yeah, this is crazy times. You know, I got my wife in here. She's listening to you earlier on the After Hour show, and she's starting to get a little panicked. And I said, well, it's not time to get panicked yet.
No, not yet, not yet. However, we don't know what's the outcome is going to be. So it's cool to at least go down the thought path of what these things could be, because if they are ETs, we don't know why they're here, or we don't know what they're going to do once they get off the ship. We don't know if it's going to be, hey, we love you guys, big hugs, or if it's going to be something else. Because if this is the moment they are here, we should be at least preparing our mindsets for, hey, this is going to be a great time with these guys, or we need to figure out why these things are here.
Oh yeah.
And that's kind of where we're at. I just don't feel the nuclear, I mean, not the nuclear specifically, the adversary position. What do you think about the whole adversarial position that people are coming with?
Oh man, there's a ton that can be said. I'm not biased one way or another at the moment. I'm more on the fence with everything until something actually does happen. Are they going to be our enemies? Are they going to be our friends? You hear things from reports that were from way back in the day, and oh man, I actually did a show on this. Now I'm going to have a brain blank. We had a report. It was written, and it was signed and documented of like a galactic federation, so to speak, and that there's many of these entities, different species that are in line with us and are trying to help, and then there's some that are like wanting to take over the world and grab our gold or whatever the case may be. So it's I don't know what to think about it anymore.
Now that's it. But when I say adversarial, I mean like terrestrial adversaries, like Russia, China. Like, what do you think about those? Because here's how I look at it. It's if we're just starting from scratch, then we're considering this to potentially be adversarial, or the government black projects, or the private entities, or hobbyists, or extraterrestrials. So and what I tried to do, and I did this show the other day here on this channel, where we kind of went down the path and kind of crossed things off the list to say this doesn't make sense because of this, and it only left us with the end of the day that maybe it's the government putting up their own stuff, but it still didn't make sense. And then, like, more likely because of the newer reports coming out, that it's tied to something anomalous. So if you were looking at the adversary angle, how does it make sense for you that it would be an adversary like Russia and China versus what you see that just says, nah, it's not it. It's not that.
I don't think it's that. There's a few reasons why I don't think it's one of our adversaries. If it was China or Russia, this is tech that goes beyond ours. Uh, just like I don't really like talking about politics, but when with the whole Ukraine Russian thing and with Putin sending off that rocket that he has that's supersonic, that's a demonstration of what they got. And I think that's as best as we have. If they had something to this caliber, I mean, we already know about the balloons that China sent over. That's archaic in technology. I mean, maybe the sensors on it weren't, but when it comes to straight out technology based products that we have here on Earth, these things are able to demonstrate repeatedly capabilities that we do not have. They violate our law of physics in certain ways. We're just not there yet. It's such a leap where, yeah, Google comes out with a quantum chip. Cool. That's where we're at, where we're starting to get down to the finer points and things. But when it comes to full on, you know, transmedium devices that can defy laws of physics, go 700 miles an hour underwater, and we have proof of this. This is beyond our capabilities, and that basically, in a nutshell, just completely annihilates the fact that I think it's either China or Russia. And you've also got to imagine, if they had that tech and they wanted to use it, they could use it in force. It would be fast, efficient, and it would be game over. We would all be either speaking Chinese or Russian in the next 100 years. So I don't think it's them, because if it was, unless they're really wanting to toy with us, I mean, just play with us that hard, then I could see it. But really, they're trying to figure out what it is too. And it's kind of like a race. You have the United States and whatever other power that's out there besides Russia and China. And all of us are seeing this at the same time. We're all getting reports of it. Our satellites are seeing it, even though they're not showing that to us. Unless you are somewhere in the top brass where you're in a skiff with somebody like Lou Elizondo or Commander David Fravor or David Grush, whoever you want to go into a skiff with, and start learning and figuring out what these are and what they really mean. I mean, at that point, it kind of shoots down the fact that it would be terrestrial made, one of us, and that's just how I kind of look at it. Um, I think a lot of the like someone like Commander David Fravor, you have a commander of a flight battalion who was there when the Nimitz was there. I've talked to, not him, but I did talk to Kevin Day about this, and these things show characteristics that are just outrageous. The leap that we would have to find something like this would mean that we actually did back engineer at least some of their products, figured out the power source to manipulate these things and get them to start running. It's a lot, and I know that we're doing it. We're trying to. I don't know how successful we are, and it could be us. I mean, it could be also Project Bluebeam. It could be anything you put your imagination to it for.
Yeah, and and I want to. There's we got somebody else back here backstage. I want to bring up here in just a moment. I see you back there, Jimmy. I'll be bringing you up here. But there's when we look at and that's a good one too, T Bone, and I'll bring that up. I saved that comment. But Paramar was asking, well, Joe Monk made the statement first that whoever is doing this is an adversary, foreign or domestic. Now, I would say not terrestrial, not a human adversary, but you could very well consider an extraterrestrial, depending on their motive and what their intent is. You could consider them as a adversary, truthfully, and we don't know if we've already been entangled with them or not, which some people say that we have. There's no proof of that, but that's what people say. You also have Paramar saying or asking, if you've ruled out Russia and China, can you rule out the U.S.? Might it be some segment of our government or military? And that I was looking at that, right? And I went down the path of, let me go ahead and get this out of here off screen. I went down that path of trying to figure out why they would do that. If it was them, everybody says, okay, they're testing their projects on the people and they want to see how people react and all these things. Now, it doesn't make sense to me because spies have satellites. Other adversarial countries have satellites. They can see where these things are coming from and going to, just like we can with our own spy satellites. We have, and they have spies on the ground. So you wouldn't think that spies from another adversarial country would be right here trying to gather data on our own black projects. And you think we would allow that to happen where we're putting up our secret black projects every day in the sky for spies that are here to on the ground to come in and gather information on, take pictures of because they're coming out at the same time every night and gather all this data from to add with the satellite data, the adversarial spy data from the satellites, and then be able to know exactly what our projects are. Why would we do that? We haven't even used them or put them in action. So I don't see a moment where we would ever do that. And if we did, and I said this before, but with the if it was us, I would think that with the public being in such an uproar, Congress now getting involved, all these senators, mayors, and governors sitting here totally pissed off about not getting answers, you figure they would have pulled the plug on this operation a few weeks ago, where before it was started bubbling over, but it's still happening every day after day. And then when you go and ask them the question, only answer they are able to give is they don't know what's going on. So that for me takes our own military out of even the black sector. It takes them all out of the mix for me. We have thousands of square miles of uninhabited desert where we already test dark black stuff. So why wouldn't we continue to do it there? You know what I mean? If we were going to do it away from the prying eyes. But that's my take. What would you say to that? Do you have any opinion, Cosmic Joe or Grant, on ruling out the United States as being our own military being behind this?
It's probably their own military, but they can't. I remember a few years ago, I seen the prototype for the air car.
Hmm.
Like propellers on a car they could buy yourself. So if it's a car shaped drone, then maybe it's a air car.
Yeah.
Um, there's it's possible. I don't know if they gotta have a pilot license to fly a air car. Probably so. Yeah, I think there's a lot of air cars out there that people are mistaking for trains. Now, whether or not any other country is doing the train situation, maybe so. Maybe they're gonna. I've seen a comment the drone war before Christmas, so maybe that's gonna happen in other countries like China or Ukraine and Russia. But I think that President Trump is going to do away with a lot of things pertaining to war. He's a strong president, and if anything happens to anyone pertaining to drones, there's going to be a really, really, a lot of people are gonna be mad at that, and it's gonna cause a resurgence of people who don't trust the government anymore. You know,
Yeah, I'll tell you what. When you speaking of Trump, Trump put out a tweet and said, "Why don't you just shoot the damn things down?" Essentially, and that's just bad news. Because I hope that's not the angle. If this is still happening, I hope it's not. I hope we figured it out, or by the time he comes in. But he did state, hey, what you guys doing? You guys just shoot him down. Now, I wouldn't do that only because if for some sliver of possibility, it's something explosive on board, obviously you're gonna detonate it with that. If it's extraterrestrials, you're probably gonna piss off the extraterrestrials and then cause them to react in a way that you normally wouldn't want, coming from with the tech that they have. So it's just not a good idea, I think, to be wanting to shoot at these things. So, but
it's a bad idea. You're
yeah,
right.
definitely don't shoot at these things. So, how about you, Grant? You ruled out Russia and China. Can you rule out the U.S.? Might be some segment of our government and military.
So I've thought about that as well. It's one of those deals where the most likely scenario, if it is going to be one of us, it's going to be the U.S. We're the ones that spend, when it comes to our military, our budget is all of NATO and the rest of the world combined. Like, we are ridiculous in our spending when it comes to this thing. So it's the black budget programs that we have could easily get into these, crashes, reverse engineer them, and theoretically get them up and going. I mean, you look at Bob Lazar when he was out at Area 51, and he was talking about taking his friends out on like a Wednesday night or whatever it is, and out to the desert there and watching what we've already have capability wise. And that was in the 80s. So do we probably have something like that? It wouldn't shock me. So I can't rule out the United States. They've never really been forthcoming when it comes to things like this, for obvious reasons. I mean, when it comes to national security, but I think this extends a little bit past national security now. This is getting to the point where, when hundreds or even hundreds of thousands of people have seen these things, we got multiple camera angles of the same object from different people in the same town. Like, it's the cat's out of the bag. So maybe this is just a small demonstration of what we're capable of. If that's so, we're playing with fire. I mean, if we have the technology, money is the root of all evil. And so if we have a scientist that happens to know a little bit too much about these products that we're creating and sells out to another country, it could mean bad things for everybody. I'm not trying to be pessimistic about the cause. I'm more or less, if it is us, okay, hopefully the right people are handling this and not using it extravagantly. The biggest thing is I want to believe so darn bad that this is ET, whether it's from our oceans, like you're hearing on the Senate floor, or it's from another planet. I don't care where they're from. Let's say hi. Let's crack a beer and go from there.
I'm with you. That's what I'm talking about. And we have Jimmy joining us on the stage. Jimmy, welcome to the show. Did you want to go ahead and chime in?
Thank you, Rob. This is JSC077.
Oh,
Guess
hey.
you didn't recognize
Yeah. Oh, I know that voice, though.
Yeah. Cosmic Joe, how are you?
Pretty good, man.
Good. Got Grant. He's wandered off somewhere in there. But thank you for having me in, Rob.
Anytime.
I was listening, and just to kind of get into the conversation a little bit with you guys, you asked a question. One of the first things you asked when you came on was, what do you think about them coming in from the water? At first, when we heard about the 50, mind you, drones that we're seeing coming in over the water, we heard that that was witnessed by the local police. Today, I'm hearing that, in fact, it was police, but there was a woman policeman. I don't remember exactly what her capacity was, but that she had witnessed these 50 drones that were coming in. It's a coincidence, maybe, if there is such a thing as a coincidence, But the sightings that were recently had in Oregon, that multiple pilots, some from commercial airliners, other from rescue aircraft that were flying in the area, they all started reporting in, asking, do you have any traffic off at a distance? And they were giving altitudes and so on and so forth. And it developed to the point that there was this one rescue vehicle of some kind that was flying there that described them as being red, circular, okay, flying in from the ocean at hyper velocities, not just supersonic, but hyper velocities. Okay. This is pilots reporting this now. Okay. Hyper velocities. He said that he couldn't even begin to estimate, one of them did, couldn't even begin to estimate what the speed of these objects were, but that they would fly in from the ocean, come into about 20 miles away from him, gain altitude rapidly up to somewhere 50,000 feet, and go back out into the ocean. And said that as they flew, they were flying in a corkscrew, with a corkscrew motion.
I heard that.
I can't imagine what the corkscrew motion would be. I don't know if that's, you can imagine, what a corkscrew motion would look like.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it was part of their flight that was in a corkscrew motion, or if it was the entire time that they were flying. You can't know. But they got so many eyes on this thing, and there are some pictures that I have seen of it, but they are just what we typically see, a bright light off in the distance. I would love to see some of the high definition video that exists for that. And I'm hoping they'll come out with it, because this sighting has really just gone everywhere. For anybody that wants to look for it, you can go and you can listen to the entire audio from the time that they spotted these things and started calling in. The audio is what? If anybody else has seen it, I mean, it's probably 45 minutes long, something like that.
Are you talking about the air or the pilot conversation? I've heard that.
It's a conversation between the pilots and air traffic control.
Yes.
Between them and air traffic control. Then we have the reports of the drones coming in off the water. There's only a few explanations that I can think of. You guys help me to think of others. But if these things are consistently flying in from the water, obviously one of a couple of things. There's a base out there that these things are flying in from. There is a platform out there that they are launching from, coming into this country. Or it could be, that if what our government is saying, which really just blows my head up when they say we don't know what it is. I mean, you got to realize that if they do not know what these things are, if that is straightforward, the truth of it, then it doesn't leave much room for it to be anything but alien, does it? If they're telling you the truth, we don't know what it is. We know just about. Go ahead, Grant.
Oh no, keep going. I was agreeing with you.
Oh, I thought you wanted to speak, and please do at any moment, because I'm not as well informed on this as you guys are. But it would just about have to be something from somewhere else, if in fact they'd have no idea what it is. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, go ahead, Grant.
Well, I was going to say, to revert back to one of the things he was questioning on, or actually stating on, the corkscrew motion. I had told about an experience. I was driving on I-80 between Wells and Elko, Nevada. And for anybody that knows that area, that is a very long and straight and lonely road. I had a trucker in front of me that I was speaking to over a CB radio, and I was headed westbound, and I was out my driver window above the mountains. I was watching and this is kind of dusk-ish, and so the light was still coming up around the mountains there, but I could see these two objects, and they were doing a corkscrew around each other, but straight down. They must have been big, but because they disappeared on the other side of the mountain, not the side that I was on, just to give you that. The other thing I wanted to mention was the base underwater. There has been multiple. In fact, Rob, I'm sure you've seen all the pictures as well of the ledge that has the columns that are underwater. Yeah, there's plenty of places out there, considering the fact that we know less about our planet than we do about our moon. Like we know more about how our sun works than we do about what's inside our oceans. We're constantly finding new critters down there all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And if I personally was an alien race, or let's say I was on Star Trek, because the rule number one on Star Trek was you don't show the inhabitants who you are, your capabilities, or anything, because if they're, in the Stone Age, we don't want to show them flying machines. And in this particular case, it would be the same thing. If I was coming up to a planet that was rich in life and minerals, whatever the case may be, or maybe they've always been here, the best place to go, where there's really no radiation from the sun, it's the best hiding spot in the world, is underneath the water. And there's billions of square miles down there that they can, it's probably not billions, but there's many millions of square miles down there that they can hide in that we'll never find them. And the fact that they can move as fast as they do underwater, that our submarines have caught, and they're called fast walkers, when they do catch these signals, that they could probably up and move away from us and just go anywhere they want. Judging by the capabilities that they have from going to 80,000 feet to the deck in less than a second, they're probably more than capable enough to keep out of our eyes, where we're not going to be able to find them. So I agree with you completely in that aspect.
And not only that, but just like I was saying earlier, they have the Navy, actually USS Connecticut fast attack submarine in the South China Sea, October 2nd, 2021, hit something underwater. So the impact was so bad, it injured 11 crew members, most of them moderately injured. And they came back and they said that they hit something unknown under the ocean, and it was not another submarine. So they have the land is mapped. They have a map of obstacles and all this sorts down there that they've had for years. They've been down there forever, and so it just shows in that moment that there's something else under there that they came across. And then you hear, who is that? Mark D'Antonio, who talked about being aboard the sub, and the talking about fast movers. And then that whole situation. So we know there's stuff under there, and likely these things are coming from under there. George Knapp, just on the Netflix special he just put out, and they vetted it supposedly, but it shows they left the cameras on deck of the ship right here by the Channel Islands in the Pacific overnight. This thing that they had saw in the sky kept came back while they were all down sleep, and this thing just lowers itself into the water and then under the water, and then you can see it glowing from within the water, from underwater. So those things are there, and that's why I just feel like all they're doing, and the reason why they don't have answers, is because they literally don't. The only thing they can say is that it's something from outer space, and that's literally what they're left with. They don't really have anything else that they can say. But I did want to talk also to the corkscrew motion, because when you just said that, Grant, and we have a viewer out there, Kuya Joey, who says corkscrew motion is a phrase that was said many times by Commander Fravor. Just something to think about. Yeah, that's true. When he talked about taking the spin and meeting up with it, and then boom, it disappeared. It shot off. And then when Grant said that, it made me think of two things. There's a Longbow 281 video, which was, I think, the Border Patrol. They were in a helicopter, and it shows these things kind of spinning around each other as they go across the sky. Everybody came back and said, "Oh, those are birds. Those are birds." But my own UFO sighting, the one that I have the video of, I always talk about before I went to get the camera. My girl calls me out, and she just doesn't tell me why. And I'm just like, and she says, "You just come out." So I come out there, points up to the sky, says, "What is that? That is weird." and it was a cluster of what I thought were birds initially, but turned out not to be. And they were in a ball, and I always talk about them swarming each other. So they actually were doing what I saw in the longbow video, and then now maybe it's what you're talking about with the cork. Maybe this corkscrew thing is something that they do, because the things that I saw, they were like mosquitoes in a ball, kind of going all in each other like this. And then I ran in the house to get my camera, came back out, and then that's when they were flying overhead in a V formation. And so maybe there's definitely something to that corkscrew thing. And that, for one, I think is a trait or characteristic of something anomalous for sure. I had something I wanted to show everybody. Was somebody going to say something there?
I was going to give you one quick comment if I could.
Yep, definitely.
I was just going to tell you that the USS Connecticut that you were speaking about is a nuclear sub. It is 353 feet long.
Crazy.
Over a football field long, and has a beam of 40 feet or 12.1 meters. Displacement of 7,568 tons.
Wow.
When it's loaded up, it weighs 9,137 tons. Can you imagine? I don't know which it would be, the mass or the energy of the object that they hit.
Yes.
How substantial that thing must have been, and for them to say they don't know what it was.
Exactly. Great. Thanks for looking that up too, JSCO. You added a lot to that, because something that huge, and the momentum is, if to hit anything, it's going to go right through anything else. It's going to go right through it. But to have it, the impact be something that jars the occupants inside, that has to be something solid, something big. It wasn't another submarine. And I think they, obviously they know there's more stuff down there than what they're emitting. But I did want to, I had some videos that I played on the news show that we did here last time. And actually, I just want to take a second. Anybody that's out there, if you're new, please consider hitting the like button on tonight's show. And also maybe even hitting the subscribe button, notification bell. We get deep all the time, and we have excellent conversations here when it comes to the topic. And we just started the new news show, the Definitive UFO News Show, which I think is going to be pretty good. So please consider coming back. And I have some videos from yesterday that I did play during the show. I just want to go ahead and kind of refresh everybody's memory on where we're at with this here. This was some of the best moments of this hearing, and we'll start with this one here.
His time has expired. Chair recognizes the gentleman from Texas, Mr. Gonzalez.
Thank you, Chairman. And, sometimes I feel like I'm in the twilight zone up here. Like month after month, people come before us, they testify, and you don't get a lot of answers. And it's concerning. It's frustrating. You're telling me we don't know what the hell these drones are in New Jersey are? Is that correct?
That's right.
It's crazy. I mean, that's crazy. That's madness that we don't know what these drones are. You're telling me that a lot of these, Mr. Jones, you're telling me that 90%, 95% of these drones along the U.S.-Mexico border, we can't interact because they're not in U.S. territory?
That is correct. A large proportion of them stay in foreign airspace.
I'll tell you what, there are a lot of Americans that are very frustrated right now that are essentially questioning where are my taxpayer dollars going? This Doge craze that's kind of starting to take hold. This is very real. I mean, this is going to come. People are going to have to come before the carpet, and they're going to have to explain every single line item. What do you do here? What does this get? And so, the chairman's putting this together because we want to know these topics. So the American people deserve to know the truth on this. And we also deserve to have actions on it. And if it's a budget issue, no problem. But it's also what is our money getting us? Clearly not a whole lot. And something needs to change, though. I'm trying to figure out what that something is. It just, month after month, it's the same old, same old. The technology's already out there. Drones, this isn't new. Drones are 100 years old. This isn't state of the art. Drones are old technology. The fact that we don't know what's flying in our airspace is only the tip of the iceberg, what's to come. We have to fix this. And I want to partner up to fix this. Part of that is finding out the proper resources you need, training, authorities. I get the authorities piece, but it's a cradle to grave type of situation. It cannot just be, the answer can't be we don't know. And the answer can't be zero. I mean, we got to do better than that. And if we don't, I suspect not good things will happen. So thank you, gentlemen, for coming before us and testifying. I look forward to partnering with all your agencies. I yield back.
All right. And then here was another piece from that same hearing here.
My colleagues, Maliotakis and others in New Jersey and New York about these drone sightings. So last night I was on the beach in Island State Park in Ocean County with the sheriff. He has been working it every single night. He's got his own tethered drones chronicling. One of his officers 2 nights ago saw 50 drones come in off the ocean right there. So we thought maybe they'll replicate it. They didn't, but we thought it was a possibility. Last night we had a number of other people there, including a commanding officer from the Coast Guard, who said that one of their 47-foot motor lifeboats was followed by between 12 and 30 of these drones as they went through the water, followed right behind them. And I said, what's the rules of engagement? I mean, you do it if you're fighting against a narco trafficker or something. And they said, we don't know. We don't have any. So I did reach out to the commanding officer at the Joint Base, which is also in my district, and talked to him, had a very good conversation, Colonel Anthony Smith, Joint Base Fort Dix McGuire, the 87th Air Wing, Air Base Wing today. And I said, I know you have the capability, you've put out press releases, to identify and bring down drones. Why can't you deploy them, at least to the ocean? Bring one of these down, find out who's doing it. They have the capability. They said, we don't have the authority, only within the parameters of our base. Well, there's a national interest here. Our jets fly over the ocean all the time for training, so that perimeter is larger. So I did write Secretary Lloyd Austin asking that capability that may be sitting in a closet somewhere, I know they use it all the time, but bring it out. And I'm not saying you got to share it with the sheriffs. It'd be nice. Just do it yourself in the interest of the American public. So I would ask if you would echo that request. I mean, DOD's got the capability, and maybe Homeland Security does as well. When we had a Zoom meeting with Secretary Mayorkas, our governor put it together, and I appreciated that. But I asked them, why can't we just track where they go to? Seemingly they're going out to sea, to something, a ship. We don't know for sure, but they come in off from the ocean. So the question really is, can't we just get DOD to share? In my first term, DOD and VA did a great thing, the DOD-VA sharing agreement for healthcare capabilities. It was fantastic. Why can't the DOD share this with Homeland Security, with FBI and others, so that you can go out and find out who they are? Maybe it's China. I chair the China Commission, and I've had 115 hearings on it. I'm barred from going there now. China is, and I'm on their hit list. Xi Jinping is a monster. Look what Putin's doing. They're all capable of doing horrible things to our people, and now they're threatening my good friend and colleague from New York, and of course New Jersey, big time. So let's go get that DOD capability and find out and put to rest the question, who is it? We can bring one down tomorrow. Your thoughts?
Sir, I'd just say I share your concern. I share a lot of frustration, and I'm more than willing to continue working with the Department of Defense to try to get better.
Again, if they don't have the authority, they can do it on an emergency basis. Just send that capability out to the ocean or to the beach, because they're coming in every day. Figure out which one it is and bring them down. And then retrieve it and find out what's going on. And as my good friend Congresswoman Maliotakis said, the thing with the balloon was mind-boggling. Over our bases, and we didn't see that was a threat. Well, this, I think, is a very serious threat. And so please, if you could, get DOD to share that capability. Maybe Homeland has it. I don't know. Maybe you have it somewhere. But I know DOD has it. Thank you.
Yeah. A couple clips from yesterday, on the December 10th, they held Homeland Security, House Homeland Security committee meeting, and this is what they said. I mean, come on, dude. The director of the FBI is like, no, don't know anything, nothing. And
As usual, they're not gonna tell us the truth, cover up anything they can to protect their technologies and all. It's all the same.
and we have
Roderick Martin.
Roderick Martin joining the show. Roderick Martin from what is the name of the show now? High Strangers. Where you at now?
It's called Roderick Martin now, baby. But it's truth versus authority, but it's Roderick Martin.
Appreciate you, man, joining us. You hear what we're talking about. You know what's going on in the world. How do you feel about it?
Well, there was a leaked thing that happened today. I just tried to put the link for you. It just came out that some defense person or somebody is reporting that there's supposed to be a dirty, and I shouldn't be putting this out there, but it's supposed to be a dirty bomb that is somewhere there, and that's why they are scanning, trying to find it. And that's why it's drones, helicopters, all of this stuff. And they're saying that they didn't want to alarm the public, but they're looking for some type of weapon that got sneaked in, and they are trying their best. That's why you're seeing thousands of them things everywhere. And people are reporting, that they're shooting, like electronic things and all this, or they're searching for something. And so, but I put the link in the guy who reported it. I tried to post it in your chat just now, but it just came out a few hours back that somebody leaked it, that's what they're looking for.
I will look at it, but that had came out as well. They have been talking about this, Rod. They've been trying to say this. They've been saying also that it's Russian gangsters, Russian gang members working on behalf of Russia that are just sitting out here flying drones. And here's the thing. The White House, Joe Khalil, I believe that's his name, the White House press reporter, has mentioned that he looked into each of these claims, including the one about them searching for a lost nuclear weapon. And he said that it could not be substantiated at all with people that he's talked to within Washington, D.C. So that likely, unless something changes, unless something else comes out, but the reporter reported that there was just nothing to that. And there are a lot of people.
Well, I hear what you're saying. I'm sorry. Keep going.
No. Said there's a lot of people out that are spreading that around. That just like, did you see the video of the downed drone that was supposedly crashed? Did you see that video?
Yeah, I saw that. And I think what we all should take an accountability when it comes to this is that most of the video footage I've seen, some of these drones have the traditional red and green lights. So we know that's commercial, or pretty much. And then some of these things not. But I think that I would tend to think that because it's New York and you're talking about the port, you're talking about the possibility of some dirty bomb coming in here and all the things that's been happening in the other side of the world, and for them to be scanning like they are, that is one thing nobody's done. They're not going to let the press or anything in particular spread that. That is global panic. So they rather for us to be sitting here thinking there's UFOs and aliens, and that's why they're not shooting them down. They know, and those things have been in places where they could have brought one down to know where it is. It's a drone, so they know it's driven by a signal. We got stuff out in the military that can bring down a predator, and intercept the signal of that and bring it down. And the foreigners are doing it. So you talking about a drone that's flying around that we don't have the capabilities of doing things. I think it's deliberate. It's something that they're not trying to do. And when it's a swarm like that, they are scanning for something. And I just think that, and we just need to look closer. And it's not about, we already know it's not about what they say. The why is the most important thing. And so, that's just my personal thoughts. And when I look at the scenario and what they're using in equipment and, how they're trying to be like the clip you just played, being evasive of, you don't know what it is. And no, we just don't. And we're not dealing with something that we just can't wipe out of the sky if we just want it to. The police nobody's shooting those things down. The public is, but if we wanted to, we can just swoop right by with a net, catch something. There's so many ways they can catch this thing, but they're not. And maybe they are looking for something, and we need to just call my cousin and say, hey, get out of there, bro. Come to Texas for a little bit.
You gonna say something, Grant?
Yeah. So when it comes to, I agree with them completely. When it comes to citizens trying to shoot these things down, it's one of those things where it's like, dude, don't do that. If it's a drone and it's somebody, poured their last 4 paychecks into, that's hurting somebody. If it's an alien technology and you're shooting at it, and obviously the videos that we have seen where they're shooting at it, they're not affecting it in any way, shape, or form. It's like, just stop. Like, quit doing that. Now, when it comes to the government saying, we don't know what this is, we don't know what this is. Like, I call BS on that 100%. It's one of those deals where they know exactly what this is. Back in 2004, when we upgraded our radar systems, and that way we could see past 80,000 feet, which is what happened when the Nimitz and all that other stuff happened. So like, and it's been upgraded a couple times since then, maybe once. Go ahead.
No, which was I think was BS anyway. I think that was an excuse, them saying that they had to recalibrate their radar, and now
they didn't.
Things now.
They didn't have to recalibrate.
I would believe that if they're so small, if they're little bitty drones, then and they're flying so low that we can see them with physical eyes. I would think they would have to recalibrate the radar to say, hey, we need to pick up a duck, something size of a duck flying around versus something bigger. I don't know.
Well, look at it this way: we already know for a fact that. I don't even want to say this name. NASA. Sorry.
That's right.
Anyways, they could read your watch from space.
Pretty much.
Right?
You got damn right, there. Yep.
Thank you. So here's the deal, though. If they don't have to recalibrate anything, that is literally just smoke and mirrors. That's all it is. All they have to do is just give us the data, because even on the ships that we have, they go past 80,000 feet. We can actually, I got to quit reading the chat. We have the ability to see a trajectory. So these things are coming, from space at this angle, and this is probably where they came from. And there's computer models that we have that are able to deduce, okay, this thing came from this side of the planet, or this side of the moon, or this star system, or wherever the hell. Excuse my language. So it boggles my mind. We've been seeing the Senate. I might be in trouble. We've been seeing the Senate literally try to get answers from simple things like not even black book programs. Where'd this money go? How come, California has billions of dollars all of a sudden missing? It just stupid stuff, right? And that's what we're wading through is the pond of feces that we got to get to the truth. It's like the what's that movie? Shawshank Redemption. You gotta climb through a river of crap in order to get to the truth. And in this case, that's what we're doing. And when you have things like Lockheed and Lockheed Martin, Skunk Works, and all that jazz, who are still have yet to be in the limelight from the Senate, but you have all these heads of states, all these head of military, all commanders, and whoever have you, and they're like, well, we don't know, because it's so compartmentalized. Nobody knows the whole truth. There's probably like what, I would be fascinated to find out exactly how many people knew the whole truth. I don't think it would be 10 people. I think it'd be less than all these 5 digits. So yeah,
Very possible. Very possible. And here's what if you bring up the contractors and them being pretty silent and trying to stay away from the issue. And, I think that might be because they're holding, not reverse engineer, but they're holding retrieved craft from previous things. And yeah, we don't want you looking over here. So we're not
it's
even
about money.
about it.
It's about money. Why we're not actually giving the contractors right now any kind of incentive to tell us anything. All they know is the United States government will pay them X amount of money to be able to reverse engineer this and provide this to our military and or keep it for themselves because you know what? I don't know how many oversight committees are on them because it's a civilian contract. And it's like they have no incentive to tell us jack. They're not going to tell us what they got. Like if I was the owner of Lockheed Skunk Works and I was like, hey, yeah, dude, we know how to go to the stars in half a second. Pick one. We'll be there in half a second. We have, anti-gravitic. We figured out like 1970, and they just keep the list goes on and on and on and on and on. But they're all about money because knowledge is power. And they're not going to tell us jack nothing. That's the reason why everything doesn't exist in our military. We have things where they create the Aurora or the new Dark Star plane, whatever it may be, SR-71, the U-2, and we all find out about it some way, shape, or form. But when it comes to this kind of technology, it's no longer the case of the lowest bidder. This is power in its straightest form. So when they get these things, and it's not under the governmental contracts, the government can't sit there and say, you need to tell us this. No, they actually don't because it's their amended rights that they don't have to tell you jack anything. And that's the best way. So if there was some type of person way back 75 years ago when the Roswell crash happened that had the foresight to see all this, it would be like, hey, we need to do everything to get it out from under the federal government and get it into personal hands and subcontract and everything else. That's the best way to hide it, and that's exactly what they're done. And that's the reason why all these officials that go into the Senate and they're like, I don't know, we don't know what this is. Oh, but how much was your bill? Or how much did you take money last year? How come it's this many billions of dollars? And they're like, well, we only have knowledge of this. And yeah, smoke and mirrors, my man.
Exactly.
Smoke and mirrors.
And I think the next step, if this happens to be something announced, which we're not hinging on this being extraterrestrial, just saying that if you look at the logic, if you use logic, and you look at what's logical and what isn't, then a lot of things point to it not being made by man. And Rod had brought something up about them being able to detect these things, and without giving up the whole show that I did the other day, because it's a great watch if you should go back and watch it. UFO definitive UFO news show. And but in one of the slides that I had there, it talked about the Chinese national that was just arrested for flying a drone just on November 30th, right outside Vandenberg, which is right here where I'm at, not too far. And let me see if I can bring that up on the screen. So November 30th, 2024, Chinese national flew, 2-pound drone 8,000 feet above Vandenberg Space Force Base. Drone detection system spotted the drone over a mile above so drone detection system spotted the drone, 2-pound drone at 8,000 feet. Spotted the drone a mile above the base. Security was dispatched in that moment, and the guy was approached shortly after it landed, and then he ended up being arrested actually like a day or so later for it. But it just shows that these bases do have the capability to track even the smallest of small drones. And, I'd also put there it's impossible for anyone to fly an SUV-sized drone for a minute, let alone a month, and not immediately be detected and arrested on the spot, or at least have the FBI knocking at your front door, soon after the incident. So with that being said, I also want to lean into this here, which is, I think, something that shows that, what these people are seeing out there
Robbie,
aren't just drones. Yes.
excuse me. I'm
Yes.
sorry. I can't wave at you.
Yes.
But I think it's kind of important to add to that just a little bit. They arrested that Chinese national just prior to him boarding an aircraft to leave the country.
Yes. He was he was going back to China, and he did have images of I forgot exactly what he took images of, but they did look in there and they saw what he took, and he was on his way back to China. So that is important. Now and I'm glad you brought that up, because we can say two things can be true. We have a spy problem and have always had a spy problem around the world. Every country has since over the last 100 years. So the fact that we have spies snooping around sensitive areas is nothing new. But the other thing that's true is we have these anomalous things that are also snooping around bases. Doesn't mean that both are related. Doesn't mean that this is being done for that. But that is a good point to make sure that we have that out there. So appreciate that, JSCO. This is one of the reasons that I looked at and considered that these things they're seeing likely aren't human made. And I'll show you right now.
Everyone from the New Jersey governor to the FBI have no idea what these are. Joining us now is my friend Evan Cutler, who witnessed one of the drones up close in New Jersey. He took some pictures as well. Evan, good to see you. So Evan described to me what he saw, and I said, you got to come on the show to talk about it. Evan, what did you see?
Well, I saw a drone. If it was a drone, who knows what it was, but it was not the drone you see people fly. There's the picture. It was the size of a school bus. Literally the size of my two-car garage. Well, I have a one-car garage, the size of a two-car garage.
And what happened when you saw it, or you started taking pictures, et cetera?
Well, to back up a little bit, I'm coming home from On Patrol Live. It's 12:30 at night, and I get into Montclair, New Jersey, and I see the full moon. And I'm like, well, it can't be a full moon because the full moon was 2 weeks ago. All of a sudden, it's getting closer and closer. And then first, I think it's a plane, then a helicopter. Then it's hovering right over the woods as you're entering Montclair. And it's a drone literally 40 feet wide by 40 feet wide, hovering right over the woods. I pull over, get out of my car, forget about the phone. I'm just like looking at this thing, wondering what the heck it is. Then I said, oh, I should take a picture. I grab my phone, starts, the second it notices I'm out there, it just starts heading south. Grab the picture. The picture looks like a dot. It looks like, at the very most, like a Plan 9 from outer space flying saucer. But when I got a good close look at it, when it was only about 100 feet off the ground, maybe 150 feet off the ground, it looked like a drone on steroids, like literally a drone the size of a garage.
And you reported it to the authorities?
I got home. The first thing I did is I Googled. I went on X. I went on Instagram. I'm like, is this a thing? And I saw nothing except one little news report from Morris County Patch about some drones making noise and keeping people up at night. Nothing. So the next morning I called the FAA, I called the FBI, and still to this day, I've not gotten a response from either of them.
Well, it's not surprising considering we just saw them in front of a House committee saying they don't know what's going on. But, it is
the one thing I got to say, though, is if for people like me who do see something that's unidentified, there's very little recourse. I Googled, what do you do when you see a UFO? There's nothing. I think that's why a lot of times these things go unreported. You have nowhere to go. And I'm a seasoned journalist. I know, I did some digging. I found out who to call. And to this day, it's, I've gotten no response.
It's weird that it's just happening in this one area of New Jersey. Maybe they're just monitoring you, Evan,
That was my first thought. And, and I do have my aluminum foil here if I do want to make a hat. That was what some people at On Patrol Live suggested. But as ridiculous as everything sounds, I do have a teeny bit of credibility. I'm the president of the Montclair Bird Club. I'm used to looking at things in the sky. I've been a bird watcher since 4th grade. I spend my weekends at the Montclair Hawk Watch. I look at things in the sky. I know that's one of the things I'm good at.
Yeah, you're good at many things, Evan. Don't sell yourself short. Evan Cutler, thank you very much for coming on the show. Appreciate it.
And then this happened in Minnesota. Another example of why these things are man-made.
Well, this is an interesting story. People in Northfield keep seeing mysterious lights in the nighttime sky. The sightings come as people on the East Coast report seeing large drones that they can't explain.
And the East Coast sightings now have the FBI's attention, with the White House even chiming in. Fox 9's Mike Manzoni spoke with eyewitnesses in Northfield tonight. And Mike, they're not sure what they're looking at.
Yeah, but they say what they're seeing is similar, maybe not the same, but similar to what people are seeing in New York, in New Jersey. Here's one video here where you can kind of see 1 or 2 orbs kind of hovering, floating around. At times they move, eventually disappear. What are they? No one knows.
We started trying to follow them, but they won't be followed. They're kind of like they disappear.
Deborah Wagner doesn't know what she keeps seeing over her Northfield home.
And then these things, whenever anybody would kind of move, come towards them, they'd back off.
But her daughter, Chrissy Grady, sees them too.
Are these UFOs? Are they a government thing? Like, what are they?
It's really low.
I know it is.
You gotta follow it. There's another one up there.
Oh, crap.
Chrissy and her kids took this video when they saw flashing lights that moved away after they spotted them.
Well, it obviously sees me. I gotta pretend like I'm actually driving. Watched both of them. So now there's 4.
They started seeing the lights over the summer, and now it's a nightly thing.
They would come and kind of like hover, and then we would go outside, and then they would leave.
About 1,000 miles away in New York and New Jersey, this is what people are seeing in the skies. Eyewitnesses say they look like SUV-sized drones, and those sightings now have even the White House's attention.
Obviously, this is something that DHS and FBI are tracking very, very closely.
Well, I don't want it to come closer.
As for what Chrissy and her mother, Deborah, keep seeing here in Minnesota, well, they don't know.
Right now, just the unknown is driving us crazy and making us mad.
But they do know what you're probably thinking.
I was like, oh man, everybody's gonna think, oh, go have another glass of wine, Mom.
And Chrissy says she did reach out to the sheriff's office, but they didn't have any answers for her. In the studio tonight, Mike Manzoni, Fox 9.
What do we do? What do we do? Those aren't, in those 2 cases for sure, it, just shows that there's not nuts and bolts, man. There's when we look at that, I don't think I had you, me, if you were saying something right, but this is nuts and bolts. This is not nuts and bolts when you see something like that. It said 40 feet by 40 feet, man. That's huge. That is huge. And there is one other clip here, and I know we're going to be getting close. So let's talk about that. What do you guys think about the video we just saw? And then there is another one that I want to show you that's 63 years old. And when you hear like what these people are talking about in that time when there was no advanced anything, and then you hear how one of these people says something that sounds exactly like what you're hearing today. And it's just putting things together but what are your comments on the video we just saw? Cosmic Joe, you got anything for those?
Well, the triangular crap I've seen on that video mimics the one I was aboard years ago, and I think it's like the space arcs, really. Space arcs, they got that technology that was away us to another galaxy. Science Pop, I asked a question. Do they have any technology that can take us to another galaxy? And he said yes. So, it cannot give away a lot of secrets I worked for a defense company that closed down because the tank radar didn't work and the radar jammer didn't work, so they closed. So I don't think there's a lot of technology that we don't know about yet, and it's gonna happen. I think this year.
Feeling like it. Feeling like it. What about you, Grant?
I'm like right in the middle of trying to figure out exactly how much a drone that's 40 by 40 feet costs. I mean,
a
a
gazillion
school bus.
dollars.
Oh, I'm telling you.
At least a few million.
Well, I mean, look at it this way, though. You're seeing all these people can't be wrong. They're seeing something. What they're seeing, we don't know. And we have a Senate that has been ignorant for years because you have people that have been lying, and then now we all got autofocus on our cameras, which nobody wants to believe in. But I mean, it's fun talking about it, though, isn't it?
You say something that
Yeah,
this is the funny
it
thing
is.
for me. The funny thing for me is now skeptics finally get to see that not only UFOs come out blurry, but so do planes and so do regular drones. Anything you try to take a picture of that is a distance away is going to come across blurry. And I'm just glad that skeptics out there finally get to see that for once. That it isn't just why do UFOs always come through blurry potato footage? Anything with these cheap little cell phone cameras is coming across like that. But these things obviously they're being seen in not just the United States, they're in other countries too. They're now, according to Ross Coulthard, I'm just gonna trust him because he's a journalist. I figure he's done his due diligence, he's talked to people. So he states that these things have been seen in countries like Indonesia, Russia, China, Australia, Japan, and that they're not calling them drones, they're calling them objects. And military bases have tried using anti-drone tech unsuccessfully, have not been able to determine what frequency these things are operating on. And let's see, and technically that there's no evidence that there's been no evidence presented that these objects are actually what we know as drones. So they're calling them drones, but there's been nothing brought to the table to show that they are actually drones. Yep, Grant.
So I got something about drones that I need to share with somebody or all of you. I'm a car guy, as everybody knows, and have you ever seen a car doing 100 miles an hour?
Yep.
Everybody nods yes, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Now, usually when I ask that question, I was like, yeah, I've been to 100 miles an hour in a car, and it seems fast. Now, put yourself 80 yards back from a drag strip and watch a car do 100 miles an hour. And look how slow that car is doing. You're like, dude, get out of my way. I can drive faster than that in my sleep.
Exactly.
Okay, so here's the deal. These things are moving so quickly in the sky, which are usually more than a quarter mile away, using drag strip terms. So the Peregrine 2 is the world's fastest battery-powered remote control quadcopter. It can do 298.47 miles per hour.
Wow.
Super
Now,
fast.
that's super fast. Have you ever watched those YouTube videos where they like lift them up on two of the rotors and then they're gone?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, stand back a quarter of a mile and watch that.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, because of your perspective, it seems slow. Now, these videos that we're watching, these things are boogieing. I'm talking like Salt Flat Racer style, getting down with it, breaking sound barrier. We're not hearing sound booms. you got to look at it as all about perspective. You know what I mean? So when you see these videos of people using cameras or phones or whatever platform they have to take these pictures and videos, okay, and they're watching these things move, and they're saying, "Oh, look, it moved from one side of the city to the other," which only looks like 3 inches because of their perspective, but that was a 20-mile city. Then all of a sudden you realize that thing literally just went more than 317 miles an hour. Like it tripled that. It broke the speed of sound to do that. Now light goes obviously way faster than that. So all you're doing is seeing the light move that quick. And you're like, oh man, it moves so fast. That must have been doing a couple. No, it was doing way more than that. Those are the drones that we got to pay attention to, because handmade, race drones, these guys are super phenomenal. I can't even fly one in my house without hurting something.
Mhm.
I don't do it. I can fly a helicopter, but not a drone for some reason. I don't know. Anyways, these things are moving much quicker than people realize when they're taking video of it. And they don't, when it comes to perspective or even just simple trigonometry, these things are quick. If you have a quote unquote drone and these people are watching this thing, and there's a video I just saw today actually of this guy and his wife's in the background. She's the one videoing and he's the one talking. And she's like, I am literally taking this video as we speak, kind of deal. And these things are literally just all over the sky, and you can see the whole city in front of them. It's like, yeah, those things are traveling much faster than the fastest drone that we have right now, which is, I can put it in kilometers if you want, which is 480 kilometers an hour, but that's literally it's 300 miles an hour, give or take, and 317. So at 300 miles an hour, I've been to 140 in a car. I've been to 163 on a bike. When you're on it and you're experiencing it, it's quick. When you're a quarter mile away from it, it looks slow. It's like sluggish. And the further you get back, the slower it goes. So everybody look up in the sky and watch a plane, which I know everybody has. I used to sit on one of those green transformer boxes that sat out in front of the house back in the 90s. And that was our get-together spot. Sorry to break everybody into the world of Generation X. But here, I would watch planes that were doing 400 to 500 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Creep across the sky, and I can still see them.
Yeah.
Just creep.
Yeah. You're absolutely right. There's a big plane. It's a C something. It's the one that carries tanks and everything. The big
C-130.
Yeah, okay.
130 or the C-17.
I used to live by Mather Air Force Base in Sacramento. I actually worked over there, and I was out there on lunch one day, and I saw one taking off because we're literally on the fence line of the base, and it looked like it was not even moving. Like it was literally sitting still in the air. And it's impossible that that's a thing, but that's the perspective that's how it looked. It looked like it was literally just stuck in the air, not even moving or barely even moving, but it was going actually pretty fast to create lift to get that big thing up in the air. But I did want to say that I know Rod just had to leave us here, and we're not going to be here long. We're going to go ahead and wrap this thing up pretty soon because I've been on.
I
wonder if Rod is still listening. Right?
I'm on and on.
He said he was going to bed. He might be still listening though.
So let me give everybody another thing. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just going to say to Rod, that it was good to have him join us, but for his mentioning that there's a real possibility that these drones could be ours, as Dave Scott seems to think that they are. Okay. They could be ours, and that they are, in fact, searching for something like a bomb. Now, because I started hearing this business about that long before these drone sightings ever took place. So don't rule that out of your head, okay? Because it could be us just being very, very discreet and very quiet, all right? It may not be us at all. Ross Coulthart said that many of his contacts say that it is Russia. That's what he had to say about it. He seemed to be leaning heavily on his sources to make that statement, and that's what he believed. One other thing, very briefly, the video that we watched, the man said he thought he saw a full moon in the sky. And Grant was talking about how fast these things are moving, and yet they appear to be so slow. Another aspect out of that is that these things are much larger than they appear when you see these dots in the distance. They're much larger than they appear to be. And a sighting that I had in 1963, I saw 3 objects slowly rise above the horizon. Each one of them looked like a full moon coming up, okay? But by the time they got directly over my head at about 1,000 feet, I figured that they were about 100 feet across.
Dang.
Okay. And I mean, so distances and speeds and things like that are really hard to judge. But there's so many possibilities. There's so many different things right now. But I do wish that they would come forth and at least tell us, the people of the United States of America, what they know about it, unless it's going to set off a nuclear bomb somewhere in the middle of our country, some catastrophe like that. Tell us what's happening. Tell us. If you can't tell us, shoot these suckers down. That's what I feel about it anyway.
We're getting sick of the stuff, JSCO. I got you, man. I feel that energy. That makes total sense to me. I like it. I'm catastrophic disclosure guy. I just want it to happen, and I don't care what the consequences are. I don't care who's not ready for it. Doesn't matter to me. We have to get this thing. We have to do it, and we have to get past that little rough spot, which we're gonna have afterwards. And then we just have to embrace where we're going after that. That's why we get together and have these conversations, because it's not about the moment they get here or if they're here. It's not about any of that. It's about what are we going to do afterwards. And if this is the moment, at least we've been talking about it for a while, and we're kind of at least prepared enough to, at least help other people kind of come to terms to what it is that we're dealing with. And I just feel good about the moment, regardless on what it turns out to be. And I want to make sure that I give everybody a chance to say something.
I appreciate it.
Yeah,
I want you to know I don't think it's Russia or Iran. I don't think it's either one of those.
No, it's not Iran. Not them.
No,
I'll tell you. I'm going to tell you something real quick though. Like, I love these conversations, and Rob, you, my man. There's a reason why the first second I saw you, I didn't shake your hand. I gave you a hug.
Yeah. He did.
You have a great mind.
He did.
You have a great mind, and I love it.
Appreciate that.
Oh, this is my man. Like, I consider him family, and as well as Dave. Like, Dave Scott is family to me. In fact, Dave Scott is only second to one person in my life as being my best friend. And the only reason why he's second is because I can't spend every waking hour with that guy. And right now, because of mitigating circumstances, which only maybe I think Rob knows, I'm not allowed at this moment. It doesn't matter. Let me move on. Go ahead, Rob. I'm gonna get him. I gotta stop.
It's all good. Grant Tavius Max, wearing your heart on your sleeve. Hey, it's all love. I got your back anytime. You're welcome to come on with me anytime, guy. Anytime, dude. So just don't hesitate to reach on out. And Cosmic Joe, do you have anything you want to leave the audience with tonight? message, any last words here?
Well, Grant obviously had a bad experience. I did too with another paranormal show. So as for the drones, we'll see. You know, a lot of technology was new to me when I was a defense worker. I've seen the stealth bomber before anybody knew about it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think if they wanted to be known, they're going to tell us. But I don't think anything's going to happen yet to where they're going to disclose everything they know about everything.
Well, guess what, Cosby Joe? Appreciate that. And if they don't, we'll be right back here to talk about it. So it's all good. How about you, JSCO?
Right now is a time for wisdom and discernment. Okay, it's not about what you know, and that it's not about your intelligence really. It's about your discernment and your wisdom. You can be the smartest guy on the planet, but if you have no wisdom to govern your intellect, then you're out.
I love it, Jason.
So just try to, keep an open mind and be smart, be cool.
Awesome stuff. Great conversation. I always feel really good. I don't know. I can akin it to like some therapy or just kind of what it is. But I do appreciate you guys for coming on with me tonight. I'm gonna go ahead and get ready to wrap this show up, and then we're gonna do it all again tomorrow night at Spaced Out Radio, the After Hours radio show. So please come over there. And then we'll do other stuff here next this coming week as well. Holidays are coming up, so we'll talk about that in a minute. But you guys have a great rest of your night. I'm about to close it out.
Hey, Rob.
Yes, sir.
You got a moment after hours?
Yeah. Hang around.
Let me enter a different way, and then I'll hit you up.
Okay. All right. But with that being said, guys, here we go. This is how we do it. The Dude, welcome to the Dude. Thank you for coming on, and I really do appreciate it. This is what we do here. We try to have conversations to help move the needle. This is a show that we do, and we do it because we care about humanity. We care about where it is that we go. It's very important that we talk through this, and we get to a point to where we feel comfortable with who we are as humans, and that we're showing love to each other, and that we're, at least have enough. We've thought through the process enough we're not going to know everything or find out everything, but at least we've talked through a lot of different scenarios and are positioned a little bit better as far as it goes, trying to help others that may not be prepared or who just blatantly did not prepare for the moment, right? So this could be that moment. And I kind of have part of me feels like, are we ready for now? Are we ready for this moment? I did want to show you guys one other thing, though. This was the last thing I wanted to show you, because this was 1962. And I hope after everything we did today, I hope I don't get flagged for this, but I'm going to play it. If I get flagged, I'll just edit it out of the show. But I wanted to make sure that I showed this. 1962. The perspective of just human beings. I believe this is in the UK, but it actually, think about what's going on now as you're about to watch this, and this is kind of what I do. So let's go ahead and take a look. Make sure we go back.
Do you indeed think that there is life on other planets? Do you think there's life on other planets?
Oh, I don't know.
Would you like to think about it for a second?
Oh, not really.
Tell me, do you think there is life on other planets?
Well, I'm not quite sure, but I suppose it would be.
No, he seems definite. You seem
Definitely.
definite. How do you see this life and where?
Oh, I've seen a flying saucer.
You've seen one?
Yes,
Where was
definitely. At Lane Cove,
When was this?
1953.
You don't think this is a figment of your imagination?
Several other people with me saw it.
You all had the same figment. What did it look like?
It was standing up there still.
just suspended in space?
With colours coming out of it.
Flat or on its side?
It was around.
And you think this was sent from another planet? Do you?
I really do. Well, where else would it come from?
That is the show. I wanted to show just that part of it. There's more to that video, but just the gentleman saying what he saw in 1953 actually is when he saw it, and he described exactly what we see in today: flashing lights, different colors. That's what we're seeing right now in this moment. You can look at it and call them navigation lights, but you got to think, if something is coming here more intelligent than we are, it has also enough intelligence to know how to blend in. Mimicry is one of the basic things in nature here on this planet. There's so many examples of it, of camouflage, and we use in war and in mimicry to blend in or fit in. And it's just something that I think shouldn't be overlooked when we're talking about something that's way more intelligent than us. One analogy that I had was, you can walk into a wax museum and you can see a lot of things that look like humans, but they're not. Just because they look like a human being almost exactly doesn't make it a human being. And just remember that as we sift through and sort through where we're at right now. Definitely appreciate everybody coming on in. And I do want to make sure that I go ahead and get us closed out right, like we do, like this, right here at the Social Dig. Thank everybody for coming through. I do want to thank T-Bone for gifting some subs here tonight. Polly Rotterman is a new member, and we do appreciate that. Mackie M10 with the super sticker. Thanks so much for the support and making sure that this is something that we can keep going, because it's important that it does. Very important that it does. Also, for everybody new, thank you for coming over and subscribing. If anyone out there hasn't considered doing it, this is a great place to be. You see the people in the chat. It's a great atmosphere, great environment. We are trying to get to the truth, the answers, right? Because it's more than just UFOs and spaceships. It's about how do we get together and do something great going forward as humanity. That's the message, and that's what we push here. I do have an image that is so important for me to show, and I'm going to show it right now, even though it's off a different slide. But the reason why we do this each and every time we come on here for the positive progression of humanity. Let me move this out the way. This is why we do it. We get together, we have these conversations for the positive progression of humanity. This is everybody. Everybody is represented in this audience, regardless where you're from, what's your background, your walk of life, what country, what part of the world. We're all in this together as human beings. This could be that moment where we have to make that decision on which way we're going to go. Either way, we're going to get together, have the conversations. Guys, it has been awesome having you here. Once again, I am your host, Mr. Rob G. This is the Late Night Call-In Show. Make sure you guys come back for the definitive UFO news show, The Social Dig, my experience with the phenomena and everything else we have going on here. Also, come check me out over at Spaced Out Radio, the After Hours radio show, which was awesome tonight once again. I can't say anything else, man. It's just great having a group like you guys where we're like-minded. We can get together, have these conversations. Steel sharpens steel, and I just love doing it. Mike Jones, I see you out there. Bomber, I seen you come in. I see you as well. Mike Botwell, Lex Diaz, I see you. I see Lex Diaz as well. See if I can get through everybody. Bim Jim, Maggie M10, Holly Rotterman, Starseed Awakening, thanks for showing up here. Brienne, thanks for coming in. Scott Rosen, obviously Grantavius, Max, T-Bone, Roderick Martin, who came through earlier. Appreciate you, sir, coming on in. Pacho Zork, thanks for coming in. Thank you. Dr. Love, thanks for coming in. JSEO77, everybody who was up here. Cosby Joe Chronicle, Hillbilly Herb, all you guys, do appreciate you. And I know I'm not going to get to everybody, but just know that I do appreciate you. Eve will be the last one. I do see you, Eve. Thanks for coming on in to the Social Dig Late Night Call-In Show. Once again, I'm your host, Mr. Rob G. Please consider sharing this video and anything we do here. Have a great rest of your night, guys. You all take care.